Hello everyone, I'm Rachel Clarke. I'm the course leader for BA Honours Design for Art Direction. I've got a background in socially engaged arts and digital arts practice and interaction design, and then I've more recently moved into research and co-design methods for working with environmental organisations in the UK and internationally. So what is our course about? So it's about developing skills across a wide range of different disciplines, including graphic design, video, photography, and curating. And our aim is to develop inclusive and responsible leadership experience for the creative industries. And we focus on storytelling and collaboration as core aspects of those skills to create consistent visual languages across different media. We really encourage students to explore and experiment with different kinds of technology and design and think about different contexts for arts-based and more critical and commercial-based projects. So one of the many reasons that students apply to us is that they do have freedom to explore their ideas and interests, and we give specific briefs so they can tailor their interests to understanding briefs and exploring those briefs. We give an invitation to develop and lead your own projects as part of a team, discover meaningful context to work into, and contextualize your practice outside of education. So we do lots of projects with other partners from the first year and the second year. So we also support you in identifying and developing your research interests and understanding the cultural, social, political, and economic shifts in the creative industries and how that impacts creative practice. So many of the students that come to us, they're very interested in a wide range of design disciplines, and they don't want to just stick to graphics or particular ways of working with film. So they're keen to experiment with different media and in new ways, and they've got an interest in learning how to lead and collaborate with others to realise a creative project vision. They've also got an interest in imaginative and speculative, more future-oriented and inclusive ways of interrogating what art direction could be in the future. This is a very much an emerging area of design that has come from advertising, but we're very interested in supporting students to look at what that looks like for them and their careers in the future. So in terms of the course content and structure, in year one, we do units called Design Languages and an Introduction to Art Direction and what that means in the context of London College of Communication. We also focus on image practices as a video and film project, and responsible design, which is a print media project. In year two, we kind of look more towards how we communicate to different audiences. So we have units on storytelling and narrative form in different media, and professional practice, which looks at how you respond to industry briefs. We also work with external organisation, thinking about audiences and design cultures in writing a more theoretical essay on and reflection on your practice. In the third year, students are very much motivated to do their own projects. So we have a self-initiated research project that forms the foundation of their final show, and then the project realisation, which then they get to realise a particular project of interest. So just in terms of the skills and disciplines that covers in the different years. So in year one, we focus on the basics of graphic design for print media, but also in more kind of experimental formats using zines. We also do projects on video production, filming and editing, working in collaborative teams with your peers. In year two, it's about building partnerships, proposal writing and pitching. So thinking about how you present yourself to external clients and partners, and also about exhibiting, curating and critical writing. How do you contextualize your work? How do you show it out in other contexts beyond education? In year three, we're focusing on you building a portfolio and becoming a professional. So aspects of project management and planning will come into practice here, and again putting those skills in from year two on exhibiting and promoting your own practice to a wider audience. So some of the practical work involves narrative and storytelling, more traditional graphic design and editorial skills that's involved in things like typography, image making, photography, print and digital, moving image, editing and motion graphics. We do 3D work, so 3D making, modeling for CGI and 3D print. and more traditional and interactive formats, including interaction design for apps and web. One of the things that we do encourage students to do is this process of world building across different media. So that's kind of thinking of new speculative projects or future-oriented projects that are not quite there yet. So using the different ways of communicating through images to realise project ideas for a kind of future proposal. And we're very much seeing that across the industry, kind of speculative design and more future-oriented design is not about communicating ideas that are already existing, but how people want to see the future. And that's particularly important in terms of a kind of responsible design or a more ethical and ecological considerations. So in terms of the learning journey, in year one, we develop foundational knowledge and core principles and skills for art direction. So we really ground the storytelling collaborative element and how to create consistent visual languages across different media. And then in year two, it's about embedding those basic theoretical and conceptual, collaborative and technical skills from year one to engage wider audiences and clients beyond the college. And then in year three, it's about realising your self-initiated project ideas that integrate your skills to a professional standard. So some of our final projects have included image archives, exhibitions, publications, short-form moving image, music videos, documentary magazines, speculative design proposals, websites, 3D animation games, photography, installation, set design, and experience design. So we really encourage the students to explore these different aspects of design, and then in their final projects, in their degree shows, we end up with students doing lots of different types of media in how they explore their ideas. So in terms of the learning outcomes that we expect students to have by the time they finish with us, we expect them to be able to contextualize their work, collaborate and share leadership within teams, have a good, strong understanding of specific techniques in graphic design and filmmaking, and have a really strong core understanding of how to communicate using stories and compelling stories. We encourage students to understand their own voice and other people's voices in the context of collaborative design, and advocate for key issues that are affecting society, so from ecological issues to social and cultural and political issues. And through that, we underpin that with a core ethos of supporting the students' personal development within that journey. So just to give you a wider understanding of what those learning outcomes look like. So in terms of contextualizing, we encourage you to utilize and critically evaluate research methodologies, contributing to the production of new insights and articulating connections with other fields of knowledge, being able to speculate on future developments in the expanded field of art direction. In terms of collaboration and shared leadership, we expect students to develop effective and compassionate collaboration and shared leadership methodologies and practices to identify and meet shared needs and include diverse perspectives. We encourage students to facilitate co-design practices and demonstrate awareness of important issues like intellectual property and creative rights considerations in shared authorship practices. We also really encourage students to work on their techniques to generate, apply and critically evaluate practical and technical processes and materials that sustain the iterative development of their project delivery. We want students to be able to situate their emerging practice in wider cultural contexts and consider the environmental impacts of creative decision-making at each stage of the project journey. As I keep mentioning, the role of storytelling is really critical for art direction and how we apply and critically evaluate the effectiveness of a range of narrative forms and storytelling mechanisms to respond to the needs of diverse audiences and contexts is crucial for this course. So we encourage you to identify appropriate mechanisms for distributing your work most relevant to your practice and for reaching particular audiences. We want you to be able to have an understanding of your growing critical voice and creative practice in the context of the creative industries and the wider cultural field, or your plans for postgraduate study. And this idea of voice is crucial, you know, not only your own as a practitioner, as an emerging practitioner, but also the voices of others. Advocacy. So we encourage students to advocate and foster practices that support racial, social, and climate justice, and that centre community needs alongside regenerative and reparative human and non-human relations, and also demonstrate awareness of our positionality in the design process. And finally, your personal development. To initiate projects, we support you in the development of a specialist practice through self-directed activity, effective planning and distribution of your work to realise project aims and outcomes. So here's an overview of each year and the different, what we call units, and as they kind of sit within a particular time frame between October and January, we call them block 1, and then between February and June, we call it block 2. And so you can see there in year 1, we have Introduction to Design for Art Direction, which is an overview and a settling in, we call it a settling in unit, to help students orient towards the resources and facilities and find their feet within the institution. Design languages is much more focused on the theoretical and technical language of art direction and how we work in teams to produce, and this is a zine project, so the students get to use different print facilities and get their head around some of the technical facilities that can help them produce professional PDFs for print. In the second part of the year, for year 1, image practices is very much focused on a filmmaking project where students work together again in teams and go through the process of developing treatments, scripts, and then filming a short and editing a short moving image piece of between 3 and 5 minutes. The other unit that runs alongside that is responsible design, and that's a project to encourage students to think about what it means to practice responsibly, both ethically and ecologically, in terms of the decisions we make as designers, which is a key aspect. So industry is calling out for that greater awareness of those kinds of skills. In year 2, I'll just briefly overview that we have a unit storytelling in narrative form, and this has traditionally been a short brief that is given by an external partner. And professional practices is also a collaborative project where students work together from different disciplines across the design school and work with an industry partner to speculate on a future scenario, and then in the second part of that unit, they focus on a very specific client brief. In the second half of year 2, students work on an outwardly facing project, thinking about and embedding their practice within public's participants and audiences, and thinking about what it means to design an exhibition. Alongside that, they work on design cultures, which is the theoretical grounding of their work, and we call that contextual theoretical studies. All students have an optional year 3, which they can take as either a diploma in professional studies or diploma in creative computing. So this is an optional extra if they want to extend their studies into a 4-year, we call it a 4-year sandwich degree. And the creative computing is much more based on coding. Professional studies is an industry practice for a year where students go on a placement or internships and gain better experience of what it means to work in industry. So if students don't take that year 3, then obviously they go on to year 3. And in the first half of the year, final year, they get to research what they're going to do for their final project and situate that within the context of a dissertation project where they kind of explore the wider context of their practical ideas. And then in the final part of year 3, students then develop their website as a portfolio, and a specific project, which usually has three practical outcomes. So students will sometimes have things like a publication, an exhibition series of photographs, and a film project. So those are the kinds of things that the students will have as the kind of three outcomes for their projects. So just to give you an example of the timetable for year one, for instance, so on Tuesday mornings, we have design languages, so that's the zine project that we work on. And then Tuesday afternoon is very much the technical process of how to develop your InDesign skills and understand more about kind of graphic design and some of the rules around how to kind of make effective PDFs. On Thursdays, it's much more about the embedding your understanding of how to access resources. So the unit Introduction to Art Direction is about your understanding, developing your understanding of art direction and how to access facilities and how to make sense of the institution. And on Fridays, you return to design languages, where some of those technical skills developed on Tuesday afternoon, you put into practice and you do a collaborative project. We also run alongside this, students are encouraged to access other technical workshop facilities, and there are other workshops. You know, some students are interested in bookbinding, some students are more interested in 3D animation or augmented reality. And so we encourage students, we give them the opportunity to look at those different resources and workshop facilities in their own time between those formal scheduled sessions. So in terms of assessment methods, so this is just to give you a sort of year-by-year overview. So we expect in the first year, you produce research process PDFs, which is a annotated selection of your work and how you've developed iteratively, how you've changed your work as you've got feedback, and how you've improved it across the year. You also produce a 5-minute video presentation, which is an introduction to you and how you've settled in and how you are making sense of some of the theories and ideas and experiences that we are presenting to you. You also produce a portfolio piece and what we call a playbook, which is a set of guiding principles for your practice. And we also encourage a 1,000 to 1,500 word essay that situates your practice and of a film project that you work on. In year 2, your assessment methods include a live project proposal from a live brief. From the professional practices unit, you are expected to produce a reflective summary and a visual portfolio of your process of collaborating with others. You also, in the second half of year 2, you also have a research process PDF and a collaborative print project, which is a magazine format. And you also have a 2,000 to 3,000 word essay submitted. And again, this is about situating your work in the wider context of design theory and practice. And finally, in your assessment methods for year 3, so we expect at that stage you to work on one of the units, you work on a professional portfolio so that you're ready to go out into the world. Your final project is submitted as a research process PDF of your project realization. So you have an exhibition, as you can see here on the left. This is our exhibition from 2024, but that isn't assessed. The thing that's assessed is your research process. So what we find is that sometimes projects students don't realize their projects in a way that they anticipate, but what they do have is a really strong research process PDF, and they realize some of those outcomes but not all of them. So what we encourage is the process over the outcome in these situations, so that we ensure students have gone through a rigorous research process and they've documented that and explored different options as part of that final project realization. This is also accompanied by a 5,000 to 7,000 word essay to contextualize your work in written form. So in terms of student and staff, so our student cohort sizes, so each year we've got between 45 and 55 students. And overall, we have about 160 students across all 3 years, and that's due to the fact that we often have additional study abroad and exchange students joining us in year 2, and we sort of have a bit of an increase in year 2 of students that are coming in from study abroad schemes. It comes from the US, it comes from Singapore, so we get a real mix of students, which really sort of enlivens the studio. And in terms of student to staff ratio, there's 1 staff member per 27 students within our cohort. So in terms of just some of the staff expertise that we bring, so my background is focusing on research methods, co-design, climate and ecology. Justina Kabala, who comes from a background in freelance high-end fashion brands and collaborative filmmaking. Hans Lowe, who has expertise in interaction design, digital design, 3D and filmmaking, CGI and sound. Adam Gibbons, who has experience in exhibition design, experimental arts practice, curating and editorial. And Florian Mislin has a background in research on gender, fashion promotion and image making. So you can see how we all come from different backgrounds to support your learning in different ways. So in terms of who studies BA Design for Art Direction, we often get students really wanting to experiment with different media in design, so not just focusing on one, they haven't made their mind up, basically. And that's okay, because we're recognising that art direction roles and responsibilities increasingly encourage, or the industry is changing so much that we're finding our students are very adaptable, and they go into roles that can see the benefit of understanding lots of different media. So, and we've also encouraged students from different areas of design, including fashion, print media, art communication, styling, set design, 3D rendering, film and photography. So in terms of the backgrounds of some of our students, they've usually studied for some of the qualifications in art and design, English, media, history, business or social sciences. So we get a range of different students coming from different backgrounds, not just art and design. Usually they have A-levels or foundation diploma in art and design, or BTEC extended diploma, access to higher education diploma or equivalent EU or international qualifications like the baccalaureate. And we sometimes get students who join us with no formal qualifications, but they've got relevant professional experience and are interested in expanding their skills within the creative industry. So we get people interested who have come from a long career in design, but have seen changes in the industry and an interest in more interdisciplinary ways of working. So in terms of the career ambitions for our students, so they're often looking towards leadership roles in print and media or editorial for magazines and advertising. They also are interested in research, curating, project managing, or just becoming freelancers and artists. So in terms of opportunities for work experience, internships and study abroad, we have a diploma in professional studies, and this is a year-long programme to provide opportunities for work experience and internships. We also have international exchanges available with Artes in the Netherlands, and this is available for year 2 students. And students can also do funded international summer school projects across Europe at the end of year 1 and year 2. So the course provides training for collaboration and leadership through external professional trainers in non-violent communication techniques. We regularly employ students through Arts Temps for bespoke projects within UAL and on the course. And so the work that we do often builds confidence in teamwork. So our students are very adaptable at working in a team by the time they have come into year 1 and year 2, or transition from year 1 to year 2. So we support experimentation, which develops their skills and adaptability and creative voice and their confidence in an ever-changing creative environment. And working across different disciplines helps build strong national and international networks while studying. So some of the speakers that we have to help students envision what it's like to work in the industry is we've had speakers from PRIM, the Library of Blackness, from Forensic Architecture, Flat Time House, Sony and Black Butter. Salt and Sister Studios, some such productions, Dazed, Beauty, and Archivist magazine. So again, this just gives you this is not all of the speakers that we've previously had, and we can't guarantee them year on year, but these are just some of the speakers we've had in previous years. Students can also work towards things like an optional Adobe accreditation for particular software, and this is provided through focused training and assessment on specific Adobe software. And students regularly work with partners on nonviolent communication to support and strengthen their storytelling and collaborative skills, and that's embedded in our curriculum. So in terms of supporting collaboration, we encourage for every project that students will enhance what they can do by collaborating with each other, and also alongside students within the design school, wider college and UAL. So at the moment, we're in a process of reaching out. So in the past, we've worked with photography within LCC, architecture within UAL and UCL, and we're just in the process of setting up some networking opportunities with London College of Fashion and some of the fashion promotion courses at Central St Martin's. But these are, again, these have to be developed year on year. In year 2, students work on an industry brief, collaborating with other students from other disciplines within the design school. So this is the professional practices unit, and that's key for helping students start to understand the role of collaboration in a much more dynamic environment where they might not know the students that they're working with very well. So these kinds of projects that we encourage reflect professional working environments, and it encourages students to recognise and make use of the diverse skills and deadlines to achieve specific project goals, and these are evaluated by industry clients. So in terms of how we're connected to industry, it's we regularly support our teaching with workshops and lectures from industry professionals, alumni and associate lecturers. So again, past speakers have included James McDermott, who is an ex-alumni of ours, who now works for Mac Labs 3D animation that does a lot of 3D animation for the fashion industry. Looply, which is a responsible design brand, Not Here to Be Like studio and Extinction Rebellion, so we have connections with designers who work there. Tate, V&A and Natural History Museum, so we've got connections and speakers who work with us from those institutions, and fashion brands Barber. So in terms of previous industry briefs, have come from a range of partners. So the Royal Society of the Arts, D&AD New Blood, Purpose Lab and Live and Breathe Festival, Cartoon Museum, NHS Belvoir, Farm, Boulder Group, Imperio, Creative Agency, and Absolute. In terms of student awards and achievements, so we really encourage students to show their work and seek out opportunities that can help put them in a position where they stand out. So we regularly contribute submissions to the Royal Society of the Arts, their Spark and Student Design Awards, and we've had winners and runners-up over the last 3 years, which is a really significant achievement for those students. So sometimes if they're winners, they win cash prizes, and if they're runners-up, it really improves their confidence to be able to put those kinds of credentials on their CVs. We've also had students win Vogue and BMW Future Creators Design Award in this year, Design History Student Prizes in 2023, and we've now got a Clive Bailey Scholarship. So Clive Bailey was a student at London College of Communication in the 70s, and now he funds scholarships for third-year students. And this is a new scheme for this year, where they get support from his foundation. So in terms of where our graduates go on to, they've found a wide variety of roles depending on their specialist interests and research, and their diverse skills and methodologies ensure they are adaptable to many different contexts. So examples include junior art director roles at Foot Asylum, Kessel's Kramer, Viden and Kennedy, Google Tokyo, Acne Wallpaper, Dazed, Show Studio, and Impresa de Mere. And then there are in-house creative practitioners within a range of organisations. So British Vogue, Art Production Associate, UDocs designer, National Museums Liverpool producer, Vestiaire designer, Curzon marketing executive, Vayner Media senior creator, Wavemaker. So you can see the diversity of practices that our students go on to achieve once they leave us. We recognise the value of independent creative practitioners who also, when they leave the course, they go on to do a range of exciting projects. So we've got 3D animation artists, disability devices by Destiny Pinto, so sustainable accessories, Fiona Seguin, digital designer and creative technologies, Misha Notley, multimedia artist Kumbarai Makumbe, art director, publisher, researcher Pixie Tan, art director, artist Emma Scarafiati, and 3D artist Mara Ungurian, set designer for Vogue, Grazia Gucci, and London Fashion World Annie Alvim. So in terms of the college-wide specialist facilities, we have 3D workshops, creative technology lab, digital space kit room, image capture studios, printing and finishing, printmaking, bookbinding, and book arts. And we encourage students to access those facilities. So we do run specialist workshops in those facilities, but we also encourage students to reach out and make connections with the technicians who are really supportive when students particularly come onto their third year projects. So as previously mentioned, we offer the Diploma in Professional Studies. So this is an optional year-long experiential learning opportunity, allowing you to undertake a variety of internships and professional experiences for a whole academic year in year 3. And this becomes part of a 4-year degree. So it's supported by academic tutors throughout the year to give you guidance and support, and you'll build on the knowledge of your course and advance industry sought-after skills. So previous projects and partners have included Apple, Adidas, Channel 4, and Landor Associates. And we really notice students who go on a diploma a year and how confident they become when they return for their year 3. They are much more focused, much more recognizing the need of things like collaborative skills and teamwork skills in order to excel. And so they often do really well in their final year because they have had that year of experience being out in the big wide world. And we also have a diploma in creative computing. So this is an opportunity for second year students to study at UAL's Creative Computing Institute. So students, they have an opportunity to enhance their technical and creative skills in computing by undertaking this diploma. So this offers a blend of coding, creative problem solving, digital innovation skills, and preparing for you for a fast-paced digital creative industries. So I would encourage you to explore the UAL Student Showcase and search for BA Design for Art Direction. And also have a look at our Instagram page. In terms of the submission process, so when thinking about your portfolio, so this is a collection of your work demonstrating how your creativity has developed over time. It shows your ability to work with different materials, themes, and techniques, as well as how you research, develop, and plan your ideas. It should also show the risk you've taken along the way. Exploring, experimenting, and pushing boundaries is a valuable process of your work. Each project should have a narrative which takes the observer on a logical and methodical journey with a beginning, middle, and end. In terms of your personal statement, be clear on why you have chosen this course. What excites you about the subject? How does your previous or current study relate to the course? Have you got any work experience that might help you? Have your life experiences influenced your decision to apply for this course? What skills do you have that make you perfect for this course? And what plans and ambitions do you have for your future career? So thank you for listening. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. My email address is rachel.clarke@lcc.arts.ac.uk.